Most people don't realize this, but if you're injured in New York and hire the wrong lawyer, you can lose your case before it even starts. Out-of-state firms routinely advertise for your business here in New York, but they will miss deadlines, misjudge case value, or fail to meet basic court requirements. And once the window closes, you don't get a second chance. This video shows you exactly why you need a local New York attorney and what goes wrong when you don't. So you don't get disqualified, dismissed, or flat out cheated out of the recovery you rightfully deserve. Hi, I'm New York personal injury attorney Brett Harrison, and I've lived in this community for years, basically my whole life. This is my home where I grew up. I love nothing more than to protect the rights of those in my own community. And let me assure you, New York's legal landscape has its own unique rules and sometimes quirky requirements that can make or break a personal injury case. A local New York attorney, we practice these laws every day and know them inside out. For example, New York has a strict serious injury threshold for car accident lawsuits under the no-fault insurance law. If you're hurt in a car crash here in New York, you generally can't sue the other driver for pain and suffering unless your injuries meet specific criteria defined in New York insurance law section 5102D. A local New York lawyer will immediately evaluate whether your injuries qualify, whereas a national law firm unfamiliar with New York's no-fault rules might overlook this and give you unrealistic expectations. New York also has what's known as comparative negligence rule. Even if you're 90% at fault in an accident, you can still recover 10% of your damages. Not all states allow that. So an attorney from elsewhere, not from New York, might not instinctively account for this crucial detail when valuing your case and consider the special 90-day deadline to sue government agencies in New York. If you slip on a city sidewalk or are hit by a city bus, you must file a formal notice of claim within 90 days or you lose your rights. I've seen out-of-state lawyers not realize that in time, with devastating results for the client. New York laws are filled with these kinds of nuances, from the Scaffold law that imposes absolute liability on building owners for certain construction injuries, a law unique to New York that no other state has, to specific statutes of limitations for different injury claims. A local attorney's everyday experience with New York statutes and recent case rulings means they'll catch these issues instantly and early. Protect your claims and leverage New York law to maximize your compensation. Choosing a local New York lawyer means you're hiring someone who navigates New York courthouses regularly and knows the legal procedures and personnel. A national firm has, let's be honest, no clue. Believe it or not, some big national firms that advertise in New York don't even have attorneys licensed to practice in New York. They sometimes sign clients and then outsource the actual case to local New York counsel. In New York, a lawyer from out of state cannot simply waltz into our courts. They either need to petition the court for special permission, or if they're not licensed here at all in New York, involve a New York lawyer behind the scenes. In fact, under New York's Judiciary law, section 470, even an attorney admitted to the New York bar must maintain a physical office in New York if they live out of state. That's how strongly New York emphasizing having local New York presence and accountability for practicing here in New York State. A local firm already meets these requirements and has likely appeared before the local judges many, many times. They know what to expect from each judge's preferences, how the clerks operate, and even simple things like where to park at the courthouse or how to get a quick hearing schedule. These might sound like small details, but in legal proceedings, they can save a lot of time, prevent mistakes, and reduce the stress for you. With a local New York attorney, there's no fumbling around with procedural missteps. They will hit the ground running in New York courts in what we call a New York minute. Now let's talk about credibility and track record in the community. When you hire a New York attorney with a solid local reputation, you get the benefit of their credibility. Insurance companies and defense lawyers in New York know which attorneys actually fight for their clients and which ones tend to settle every case without a fight. A local personal injury lawyer who has won cases in the local courts commands more respect. The threat of going to trial is taken far more seriously when the insurance company recognizes your attorney as someone who's not afraid to go into a New York courtroom and win. If an insurer sees a lawyer's name on your case and knows that attorney has a track record of big verdicts right here in New York, their calculators, they start working a little differently. They're more likely to put a fair offer on the table rather than risk a trial. On the flip side, if you go with an out-of-state or national firm that doesn't actually try cases here, the insurance adjuster might sense that they can lowball or take advantage of your claim because your lawyer might not logistically be prepared to press the case to trial. Local attorneys also build relationships with local adjusters and opposing counsel over the years. I can't tell you how many times having a good professional relationship with the defense attorney or prosecutor on the other side has helped move a case toward a positive resolution. There's mutual respect when you've both practiced in the same New York legal circles for years. That respect can translate into smoother negotiations and quicker answers on your case. So, overall, a lawyer who is part of the local legal community has a reputation to uphold every day. They're going to care about maintaining trust with local judges, other lawyers, and the community, which ultimately benefits you, the client. Now, let's discuss local resources, investigators, doctors, and experts. A big advantage of hiring a nearby New York law firm is tapping into their network of local professionals. Personal injury cases aren't won by lawyers alone. They often require physicians, accident investigators, economists, and other experts who can bolster your case. When it comes to investigating an accident, a local firm knows seasoned investigators who know the area. For example, if you got hurt in a crash at a tricky intersection in Brooklyn or in Long Island in Suffolk County, a local investigator who's handled many cases there will know exactly where to look for surveillance cameras or witness vantage points. Local experts can make a huge difference. I've worked with accident reconstruction experts who are intimately familiar with the New York traffic patterns and engineering standards. They can explain to a jury how an accident happened in a way that fits our local reality. A national firm might have to fly someone in or use a generic expert who doesn't really know the lay of the land. Even details like weather conditions or road design in New York neighborhoods can be critical, and a homegrown expert will have that context. The same goes for other experts like economists for calculating lost wages under New York's cost of living, or vocational experts who understand the local job market. A local attorney can quickly assemble the best team for your case from people they vetted over time. These local professionals often have experience testifying in other courts. They know how to communicate to a New York judge or jury, which is different art than in other places. You know what they say. New York is a unique place. It's not for everybody. Personal attention and accessibility. Let's discuss that. There's a personal touch to working with a local New York attorney that you simply won't get with a massive national firm. For one, you can meet face to face easily. If you have a question or a development in your case, your lawyer is a short drive or a subway ride away. We can sit down in my office or even visit you at home or in the hospital if needed. That kind of direct accessibility builds trust. You're not just a case number. I often hear from clients who previously dealt with large firms that they felt lost in the shuffle, always handed off to a different person, or having to go through a call center. With a local firm, when you call, you're gonna talk to me or someone on my close-knit team who knows you. You'll be able to identify us. Unlike national law firms, you couldn't even identify some of them in a lineup who's handling your case. We understand the local community, which means we understand you better. This means we can devote more time and attention to each client. Your case won't be one file in a warehouse of thousands. I will remember your name, your face, and your story, and you'll have direct updates from me throughout the process. The personal, accessible approach not only makes the experience less stressful for you, it often leads to better outcomes because nothing falls through the cracks. Now let's discuss what I call community trust and accountability. Hiring a local New York lawyer means hiring someone who staked their name on the community's trust. We aren't just passing through. This is where we built. This is our foundation, where our career and our life. This is where we belong with you. The accountability can be a powerful motivator. A national firm might advertise that they handle cases all over the country, but if they don't get the best result for your case, they don't have to face you in the grocery store or at the next Little League game or at the pizza parlor. I do. As a local New York attorney, my clients are also my neighbors, friends of friends, and members of the community I care about. My law firm's reputation in New York is its lifeblood, so we go the extra mile for every client to uphold that reputation. There's a level of personal pride and duty in fighting for justice for someone from our own town that simply can't be replicated by a distant firm that views your case as one of hundreds in a national docket. So listen, my next video is a big subject, but one that has been simply laid out by the courts. Can a bar be held responsible for drunk driving accidents in New York? I'll break down New York's dram shop law when a bar can be liable for overserving and how to include them in your claim so you don't leave money on the table that you rightfully deserve. If you've been hit by a drunk driver or involved in any way to a case that is tied to a drunk driver, watch this to protect your rights and your big recovery that you rightfully deserve. See you over there.